Guys, we've got not one, but two of these awesome little trail trucks from FMS. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into these, so if you're interested in checking out something a little bit different, stay tuned, this should be fun. This is the 1/24th scale Blazer, and this is the 1/18th scale Land Cruiser. These are basically the same size because this is a larger truck, and they're running on a very similar platform, so we're going to review these together. Starting with the Blazer, we have a beautiful, highly detailed, solid plastic body. This is running on friction shocks, which basically means no shocks. It's got some nice foam rubber tires, and the underpinnings are basically all plastic. It does have portal axles front and rear. We'll be tearing one of these apart in just a few minutes, and it's got a 2-speed transmission. This body has a clipless system. You just push these two tabs in on the back and front, and the body comes off. We can see under here we've got a small brushed motor, as well as a combination ESC receiver. Here's the power switch here, and the servo is on the axle. This chassis is also all plastic, as well as the links. Now on the other hand, the Land Cruiser does have oil-filled shocks, and it feels a lot better. Underneath, we've got the same axles, but as you can see, we've got metal links, and this chassis is steel. This body also does not easily come off. Instead, we have a hood that opens, and you can see the battery in here, and I believe that's the same receiver ESC combo. Both these trucks do have working lights, which I'm really excited to check out. Removing this body is easy. We've got a little plug we can take out of the receiver, and as you can see, we've got a little battery here. All of the hardware on these is hex hardware, which is really nice to see. But what I'm really curious about is what's inside this thing. Let's start tearing this apart. This is a great time to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the awesome stuff we've got coming in the future. We can see we've got tiny little plastic hexes here, and we can get a better look at the portal axles. These wheels do appear to be beadlocks, but let's make sure. Okay, yes, as you can see, these are beadlocks. These are not glued, which is really nice to see. And as you can see, the Land Cruiser uses a very similar style of beadlock wheel. Now make sure you stay tuned, because once we get done with this teardown, we're going to be doing a bit of trail bashing with these trucks, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how much fun that is. Already starting with some pretty small parts here. As you can see, we've got metal outdrives on the rear. I can also see peeking out here in the front some tiny little metal CVDs. It looks like this whole truck's going to be coming apart with a 1.5mm bit. Pulling this rear axle, we can see that the input drive shaft is all plastic. Feels pretty smooth. And we've got a metal input to this portal. I'm suspecting there's going to be metal gears in here as well. Yep, all metal gears. Now there are bushings in here, not bearings, but I believe these could be upgraded to bearings if you wanted to. For a little car like this, it's probably not necessary though. Which just leaves us with the center section here. All of this feels very well built and high quality plastic. Most of these screws all seem to be the same size, which is also really nice, especially for a tiny truck like this. All right, so we do have a plastic ring gear here and a plastic pinion gear that it's connected to. I'm really curious to see how that holds up to some abuse. Let's get this axle put together and check out the transmission. While we got that out, I can show you these friction shocks in the rear. They also have friction shocks in the front, and then the plastic links. The Land Cruiser is slightly different in that it has metal links, and that these shocks have threaded bodies and are oil-filled, but the axles basically look the same. And we can get a closer look at that shift servo and the shift linkage here for this 2-speed transmission. Again, really nice to see that almost all the screws in this are the same size. Here we can see the spur and pinion gear. We got a plastic spur with a brass pinion. Normally, you wouldn't be able to use a big screwdriver on these tiny screws without stripping them out, but this is a specially modified one. I've got a video coming very soon about that. I'm going to show you how to do the modification yourself, and I'm going to be giving one away that's already modified. Stay tuned for that. Hopefully I don't get a face full of gears here. All right, we have an all-plastic transmission. This is a 2-speed transmission, and of course it is 4-wheel drive, so it's got a built-in transfer case. I'll be interested to see how these gears hold up to some trail abuse. Unlike the axles, it looks like we're running all ball bearings in here. If you have one of these trucks, I would recommend not going into this transmission unless you have to. It's not the worst thing in the world to work on, but fun is definitely not an adjective I would use to describe the reassembly process. There's not really that much else to these trucks. We've got the shift servo, the steering servo with the built-in servo saver, the all-in-one 2S ESC and receiver, front axle, frame, and that's about it. To go along with this receiver, we get a pretty nice little 3-channel transmitter. It's got a foam wheel. It actually feels fairly nice in the hand, and I don't mind this at all for a cheap transmitter. The Blazer also comes with a fake light bar, a charger, and a few other bits and pieces. Let's check out these lights. All right, well, the truck is on, the steering's working, but the lights aren't on. I don't see an obvious lights button on this transmitter, which means this is a great time to take a look at the manual. In here, we've got a ton of really good information, and there's actually a lot of features on this transmitter that I didn't expect there to be. Here we can see car light control, and it says to press the bind button. And now we have headlights. The lights on here look really cool, but the Land Cruiser's got even better lighting. Let's take a closer look at this. Functionally, this Land Cruiser is very similar, except like I said, the oil-filled shocks. I'm really curious to see whether oil-filled or friction work better off-road for these little cars. The metal links, and then peeking under the hood here, we can see that this receiver is a little bit more feature-rich, and I think that's for better lighting. Let's take a look at that now. You can see the two transmitters are similar, but this has a lot more switches and dials on it. We've got a channel 4 button on this transmitter. I bet it operates the lights. Absolutely, and as you can see, we've got headlights, off-road lights, hazards, lights in the rear. This probably also has brake lights, and I'm assuming turn signals left and right. This is a very complete lighting package, and I think it looks really, really cool. Now, these trucks look cool, and they look really well put together, but I want to see what they can do off-road. Let's go check it out. I've had some time with these little FMS trucks now, and these things are actually pretty fun. The difference between the two is smaller than I would have expected, even though they have the same platform. I found that not having any damping on the Bronco really didn't make a whole lot of difference. They both handled pretty much equally well. I don't think either one of these would make a great serious rock crawler. They're both very top heavy, but for just general trail bashing, they're both a lot of fun. I really don't think you could go wrong with either one of these trucks, and I really don't think you could go wrong with checking out one of these videos.